Welcome guys to the first video of 2022. That's honestly crazy to say. It felt like just the other day that it was 2021 and now we're in 2022. And what better way to start it by bringing back an old series, my James Bond reviews. I stopped doing these in September just solely because they took up too much time, but now I'm ready to talk about some more Bond films. And before we start, I just want to say thank you all so much for the support you gave me in 2021. We hit 34 subscribers, which is pretty insane. So just thank you all for that. And now, on with the review of Live and Let Die. So before we talk about this movie, I have seen this movie before, and I have seen a couple other Bond films that I just didn't have the time to review, and I'll list them off right now. Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Skyfall. I skipped Spectre. But anyways, now that you know that, let's just get started with Live and Let Die. So Live and Let Die is a pretty good James Bond film, but I don't think it's particularly one of the best James Bond films, and there are quite a few problems that arise with this, and I'll get to those in a minute, but let's just start talking about this movie already. Let's start off with the elephant in the room, Roger Moore. So, Roger Moore is kind of a mixed Bond. I've heard there's a whole side that loves him and think this is the best era, and there's another side that doesn't like him and thinks that this is the worst era. So, where do I fall in this? I'm honestly in between. Roger Moore does a pretty good job as James Bond, and he just seems like kind of the middle James Bond, and in all respects, he kind of is. Also with Timothy Dalton. But I don't hate him and I don't particularly love him. And for these movies, I think he does a pretty good job in them. The action is probably the highlight of the film. It's very good. There are particularly fewer action sequences compared to the other Bonds. But the ones we do get are honestly one of the tenser and more engaging fight scenes for the time. Now, I knew James Bond wasn't going to die. It's when the villains are fighting against James Bond that it doesn't feel like everything's going to be alright. When James Bond gets cut on the arm, it feels like there's stakes. Like there's a bit of something to be lost here. It feels like they're going to get hurt, and while they will probably not die, they're still going to have scars on them. And the action isn't all dark and gloomy. There's a lot of fun action in here, too. The boat chase is very, very fun, where the boats jump from one river to the next. It's very entertaining and very cool to see. Let's talk about the Bond girls. The Bond girls in here are pretty good, and I'm gonna sound kind of like a hypocrite. I know that they're plot devices, and I really don't care this time around. I've been really harsh on Bond women in the past couple of movies, but they seem to fit the role in here. They really keep a good story moving, and I really bought Bond's relationship at the end, especially at the very end, like the final scene. I really bought that they were in love, at least for this movie, because Bond is fighting after villains, and their girls are there witnessing with him. It's not like previous Bond films where Bond is on his own and having to take care of these himself. The girls also have to witness what Bond goes through, and it's pretty cool to see. Now this is where we get to the bad things about this film. There's two main things that really bug me, and let's just get the first one out of the way. That is the first hour. I do not like the first hour at all. The first hour is where it's very exposition heavy and very slow. This is a very boring first act of Bond. They cram so much into this first hour, and it feels like they could just have a couple scenes explaining this. We don't need an overarching Bond film, at least for this film. But thankfully, the second hour gets much better and much more entertaining. Now, the second one isn't really a gripe. It's just that I found this movie to be pretty forgettable. I did the first time and I do now. There's not a lot of memorable moments in here, and I don't really remember a single good line in this movie. And another thing about this is that I often confuse some of the parts I do remember about this movie with The Man with the Golden Gun. Until I saw this movie, I could not determine which movie had the boat chase and which one had the car flip. I just could not determine which one was which. But overall, I found Live and Let Die to be a very fun Bond film. But I do think it's kind of like those one and done movies. You don't have to watch it once, but if you watch it twice, you're still going to pretty much have the same overall experience that you did the first time. But still, this is a very good one and done, and I'm going to give Live and Let Die a 7 out of 10. Guys, thanks so much for watching. It feels good to be back covering James Bond. Look forward to more reviews soon, including this series, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.